Hello and welcome to the Feck It Fun, Fabulous and Free Eating Disorder Recovery podcast. I'm Helly and I'm here to provide regular bursts of information and inspiration, some neuroscience applicable to eating disorder recovery, perhaps a few rants, but otherwise lots of positivity with a bit of a feck it attitude, some fun and a sprinkling of fabulousness to help everyone find freedom in recovery. Hello everybody and welcome to the Feck It Fun, Fabulous and Free Eating Disorder Recovery podcast. I'm Helly, I am an eating disorder recovery coach and I am your host of this podcast series. Today's episode is a little bit of a cheerleading episode where for any of you in eating disorder recovery at the moment, or even if you're just contemplating eating disorder recovery at the moment, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a cheerlead. Now, I've never done any cheerleading in my life in terms of the actual cheerleading where you see them on the sidelines of the sports pitch, but I have done a lot of cheerleading in my life for people in recovery and I am here to cheerlead you as well. Because ultimately, if you have an eating disorder and you are listening to this, then that means that you haven't just accepted your eating disorder as your fate. So that's something to celebrate in itself, because you are at least contemplating the terrifying path of recovery, or many of you listening are probably already down that path into your recovery, looking for reassurance and support or motivation to keep going. So ultimately, any of you listening with eating disorders, whether you have an eating disorder at the contemplation stage or whether you're already on that recovery journey, you are not where you once were in the illness, too sick and too entrenched in the illness to even begin to contemplate recovery action. And that's something to celebrate in itself. You're already on that path. No matter what it feels like, you are on that path of recovery. But let's face it, the road to recovery with an eating disorder is long, it's hard, it's messy, and it's very, very clunky. And along the way, it can seem never-ending, and it can often seem as if it's futile to keep going. I know for me and many others that I speak to, hope is often frequently lost along the road. As you know, there are times that you feel like you are just treading water in recovery at best, despite working so incredibly hard just to stay afloat. So at times like that, it's worth reminding yourself that others have walked this path before and made it out to the other side. And if they can do it, then why the heck shouldn't you be able to do it as well? And I know that everybody is different, everybody's circumstances are different, and I'm not going down the road of because I've done it, you have to do it this way, and because X, Y, and Z applies to me, it applies to you as well. Everybody's different, everybody's journey is different, but I do believe that everybody has the ability to recover and come out the other side. Yes, recovery can take years, but it can and will happen for everybody if you stay committed. Because ultimately there are many, many, many people out there who have recovered from eating disorders. And I think sometimes it feels as if the big names out there who've recovered, the big influencers out there who've recovered, who write about their recovery, who coach now, who do the YouTube videos, etc., you can look to them for inspiration and motivation, but you can also think, well, there's just a handful of them, so maybe they're just the unicorns in this recovery game. They're the lucky ones who made it out the other side. But there are definitely many, many others out there who have recovered after years of having eating disorders, and they're just too busy now enjoying their life to the fullest. They've moved away from the eating disorder world and communities. They're not writing about it, they're not talking about it. They're just grateful to be normal now, in inverted commas, normal. And so you don't know their names, you don't know who they are, because they're not out making themselves known. But there are many of them out there. So just hold on to that hope that there are many, many people who have recovered. And so it is a possibility for you as well. But today's episode is really about recognizing how amazing you are to be here, fighting today, pushing for more, and facing those very real fears on a daily basis to get through to the other side of your recovery. I know you might feel like you are going nowhere fast and you are probably exhausted and frustrated and just emotionally overwhelmed at times. I know that you just want a day off from the constant fight that is recovery. But I would urge you every now and then just to look back to where you have been. Look back to how ill you once were, to how all-consumed by the illness you once were, and recognise every bit of progress you have made, however tiny, because it all counts and it's all an achievement, and it will build the more you keep going. And then look forward. The future of true freedom was discovered by those who have already been on this recovery journey. And every journey to recovery, as I already said, is different, but the outcome of a life free from compulsions, free from hunger, and most of all, free to be alive in every sense, is out there waiting for you, as well as it is for others. And you can reach out and grab that future. Reaching out and grabbing that recovered future usually looks like reaching out and grabbing copious amounts of food and not reaching out and grabbing at those compulsions to move and exercise or engage in other little disordered behaviours and habits that might be there. But with your recovery action, your determination, use your grit and, put on those superhero eating disorder recovery pants and cape that you've got stocked away somewhere. Grab hold of that future that represents true freedom and never let it go. Spend today resting, eating as much as possible, and just trusting your body to do what it needs to do. Don't give up on your recovery. I'm here cheerleading for you. I know there are many, many other people out there cheerleading for you virtually as well. You can do this. You can recover. Keep going. Stay committed. It's exhausting, it's draining, but it will be worth it. And you will get to the other side. So that's my little cheerleading message for today. I really, really hope that you're doing well in your recovery at the moment and you can find, some positive things about today that you can go to bed tonight and think, wow, yes, I achieved that. My name's Helly Barnes. I'm a professional coach working with people with eating disorders and in recovery from eating disorders. If you want to know more about my coaching, then please check out my website at hellybarnes.com. And otherwise, if you have any questions for me, anything you want me to include in the podcast, then please just contact me or leave a comment. Okay, thanks very much for listening. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Feck It Fun, Fabulous and Free Eating Disorder Recovery podcast. Don't forget, eating disorder recovery doesn't have to be boring and doesn't have to be serious. Now go and grab yourself some food and have a fabulous rest of the day.